So ignorance is going to destroy this country.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Welcome, everybody. Jim?
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Get Your Shine Box, episode 13.
Lucky 13.
I think it's 13. Yeah,
Is it?
13. Sounds about right.
Yes,
Yeah,
13 is a lucky number for us.
A lot of stuff going on, too. We were talking about bouncing stuff back and forth all week, trying to come up with a, well, I shouldn't say trying to come up with a topic, trying to narrow it down to a topic. Nowadays, if you don't snatch something, it's yesterday's news cycle.
Yes, let's not forget a quick introduction. We have Joe from New Jersey.
New Germany.
Paul, myself, also from North Jersey. The both of us are autodidacts. I'm a Christian nationalist. We have Jim, and the classification, his term is classified SCI, so I'm not allowed to tell you what he is. But
Not even if I send the FBI to your house. I know nothing. So now that we got out of the way, check this out. And I grabbed this from Fox. Just an excerpt, and we'll get into it. Meta, which is Facebook, CEO Mark Zuckerberg revealed that the FBI approached Facebook, warning the platform about Russian propaganda ahead of the bombshell Hunter Biden laptop story leading up to the 2020 presidential election. Appearing on Thursday's installment of the Joe Rogan Experience, which is obviously Rogan's podcast, Zuckerberg was asked about Facebook's suppression of the New York Post reporting that shed light on the shady foreign business dealings of the son of then candidate Joe Biden. And we all know that, but it was well written, not well read. Zuckerberg began by stressing how Facebook took a different path than Twitter, which completely censored the Post, reporting while Facebook limited its reach on the platform. Limited its reach. And we're going to get into that with a clip. He had a 3-hour sit down with Joe Rogan, and most people saw a couple of clips of 40 seconds. We're going to play a couple of clips. I watched the textual half hour on both ends and got a little glimpse of what he was talking about. And I'm just going to, without further ado, I'm going to play this first clip, and then
let me interrupt, Jim. Let's give a little background here first. Several weeks before the 2020 election, this Hunter Biden laptop dropped. Okay, it was immediately called out as Russian disinformation. 51 current and former intelligence officials of the United States came out and said it was Russian disinformation.
Mm-hmm.
It was banned across all social media. It was posted in the New York Post, which is, I believe, the oldest existing newspaper in America. It's like 100 and some years old.
Yeah. Yep.
It was immediately banned. Nobody would talk about it. They all parroted the same thing, that it was Russian disinformation. Now, we knew that the FBI had this for something like a year and knew that it was legit. And this was not only about Hunter. There are emails in there not only about Hunter's wrongdoing and illegal activities, but of Joe Biden selling access to our government to foreign nations, Ukraine, China, etc. And this is confirmed by emails and by people who were party to these deals, also confirmed it. So that's the background that we're looking at here. This was blatant election interference by the intelligence community and the FBI, as well as all the media.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Well, they had a mission, and
Yes.
and mission was accomplished.
Yeah.
They did exactly what they needed to do to get Biden in office.
Yeah, they lied.
well, let me ask you a question before we play the clip. Let me ask you a question, and I know this particular item was precisely blocked because of the effect that it would have on the election. But let me ask you a question: 81 million people, they say, voted for Joe Biden. Okay, uh, we know that there was election fraud. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't believe that with all the evidence out there, then you're just that you're unsavable.
You're not.
Unsavable.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
you're
there's
not capable of having a grown-up conversation.
No,
and
exactly.
there's a lot of people that are unsavable. I had a conversation with somebody today that was just talking about how Trump has classified documents he's guilty of.
Right.
Yeah.
These people, they are ignorant. They listen to the news from MSNBC or whatever, and they take it as gold. That's the facts.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming, and it's kind of scary when you think about it.
You repeat the lie often enough, and it becomes truth.
Well, let me circle back to my point to steal a little Jen Psaki terminology. I'm going to circle back. This was another prong in the operation.
Yeah.
Because we already know about the theft of the election, and that was supposed to be it. So, my question is, was this an equal part of the three prongs, or was this a backup plan, or was this just? Do you think this was just a knee jerk that the establishment swamp was automatically going in to protect Biden?
Oh,
We know the basis was anti-Trumpism. That's all.
no, they threw everything on the fire, Jim. I believe they just did everything that they could do it all.
Yeah, it's certainly we have no physical hard proof, but you would have to be completely, as a friend of mine said earlier, obtuse or mentally retarded or in a cult, which is this Trump derangement syndrome cult, to believe what happened there was legit. Whether we can prove it or not, maybe they all just hated Trump so much they coincidentally acted in unison. We know they ran war games before the election on what to do, and this was headed by, who was it? Was it Tony Podesta or the other Podesta? Mark Elias was involved, who's a real,
right.
man.
But in any case,
yeah.
these plans, these governmental plans, these executed plans, especially when you're involving the intelligence community, these are planned. They did have, when you say war room, there was a literal. I'm telling you, there was a literal meeting. There are literal transactions, transcripts, emails, texts. Will we ever see them? Probably not. But this doesn't just get formulated in somebody's backyard. This was a full-on intelligence operation.
Yeah.
And
right.
the thing is, they're so out of touch with reality. These people wouldn't even consider like us meeting cloak and dagger style and putting this together. There's a formal paper trail for this. I know there is. That's the way they operate.
I wouldn't doubt it. Whether like you said, whether we'll ever see it, we'll see it 50 years from now. Like,
that's quite possible.
Biggs,
exactly.
The other one in Vietnam, Kennedy, all that stuff.
Well, I did hear a quick meme aside. I did hear somebody say, or maybe it was me, I forget, if Trump didn't want any of his documents gone through by the FBI, he should have hit him in Hunter's laptop.
Yes.
So anyway, my execution was pretty lousy on that one.
Yeah, and there's another point. We just had, I think it was Project Veritas had a couple of FBI whistleblowers, and at least one of them said that they were ordered not to look at Hunter Biden's laptop.
Right. One of them, I believe, just stepped down for a similar issue.
The guy that was escorted out on
I
Friday.
didn't look into it too deep because I wasn't really prepared to go
Yeah.
down that road.
Oh, was that we heard about that? We're talking about that this afternoon. So what's the deal with the guy being escorted out?
I don't know
he
this,
was
but
fired or quit.
the article was on legal insurrection, which is generally pretty legit. But we don't know. It only said that he was escorted out by a couple of professional looking or management type looking fellows, and this is the guy who was tagged by the inspector general or somebody as spreading a lot of anti-Trump hate and other things through official channels.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. The whole thing is interesting, but when you come out, when you come to find out that people are even afraid to admit this stuff, it's really
Yeah.
fascinating. So we're going to listen to this, and it's about 40 seconds. This piece, and the tone. Pay particular attention to his tone, his rhythm, if you will. The guy's a little weird.
Yeah,
To
and
begin
you
with,
know me, I don't like to interrupt.
not at
But
all. Not at all.
remember that after the election, Time magazine put out an article crowing about how they had fortified the election. All these people gathered together to fortify the election against Donald Trump.
Yeah,
They
almost like
they crowed about it.
yeah, almost like they well, like they thought it was illegitimate. But all right, here we go. Now, if you interrupt me this time, I'm gonna have to use my mute power.
Like a mouse.
Okay.
So we took a different path than Twitter. I mean, basically, the background here is the FBI. I think basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, "Hey, just so you know, like you should be on high alert." We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump that's similar to that. So just be vigilant.
So there you have it. He just came out. Now, granted, you don't have the text before or after, but anybody can go out and listen to it. That's hardly the point. The point was the statement.
Yeah.
The FBI came up to us, and actually asked them. And Zuckerberg he contributed, what was it, $400 million to the.
Yeah, it was like 419 million or something like that.
Yeah. So, and I was talking to Joe about this earlier. This tone and this attitude, was it a mistake? Now, I don't claim that Zuckerberg is a genius, because I've always said just because he wakes up in the morning and he's got $5 billion in the bank doesn't make him smart. It makes him a pretty good thief. But that's entirely beside the point. He had such a nonchalant, la-di-da, full of himself, narcissistic tone. It was so unrealistically believable that he just spit it out like, "Oh yeah. What didn't the FBI come by your headquarters and tell you not to publish something that would change the election?"
Right.
Didn't even miss a beat. The guy's, I wouldn't call him monotone, but he's not. He is. I don't know. Maybe he really is a lizard, because his blood pressure didn't seem like it went up at all when he just revealed one of the biggest things that we knew. One of the biggest things you could reveal, but if it came from like a Dan Bongino, for example, it'd be like, yeah. Well, what do you expect? This is coming from a guy who's he's $400 million in on one election to the DNC.
Yeah, here's the problem with our current ruling class. I won't call them elites, because they're no longer elites. They have incestuously bred themselves into a meritless club that we're not in, but they still wield control. He has no fear of repercussions. None of these people do, because they are in that class that doesn't have justice served upon
Right,
them.
and that's historically accurate in so much as this century.
True.
Yeah, I mean, we used to
Look at
have
Paul Pelosi.
we used to Paul Pelosi. Yeah, I mean Hunter Biden. What's his name? The FBI guy that forged documents
The lawyer.
The lawyer,
He
and
already
he
has
got
his license back.
and
Yeah.
they gave him his freaking law license
Yeah.
back, and they dismissed him from the FBI. What did he get? 2 weeks in jail? Did he do any jail? I don't even remember.
Probably not.
No,
Unbelievable.
he cut a deal. He probably has a new house somewhere because money's nothing. You know, just ask Bernie Sanders. You know how much he got for selling his black soul. Quite
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't think that black soul was worth anything, but apparently it got him a beach house. So
Yeah, well, communism is only good for the plebs, the proles.
well, yeah, you gotta love that. Yeah. Anyway, he goes in a little bit deeper. We can get a little more conversation because he goes a little bit deeper and he's talking about the difference between Twitter and what Twitter did, and which I think is kind of funny because they're attached at the hip. You know,
Yeah.
these are just pillars of the.
Yeah, and going back to our Project Mockingbird piece
Yep.
a few weeks ago, if you think that the intelligence community does not have people embedded directly in Twitter and Facebook and indirectly through influence, you're not worthy of the conversation.
No, and if you're not familiar with that podcast, please go back and give it a listen. It'll definitely open your eyes or ears, depending on how you want to look at it.
Minds,
yeah. Hopefully, it's some interesting stuff, and a lot of people don't know it. And I keep hearing some of the prominent people out there on both sides talking about this, talking about that, and they always step on the line. But if you ever notice, and I'm digressing a little bit, but you ever notice they won't go down that path for some reason. You never hear anybody talk about it in the mainstream media, not once.
They have to maintain control,
and then they know who butters their bread.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't trust anybody. I mean, I listen to a lot of people, and then I kind of sort it out, and I'll do some research and try to figure it out and find out. Try to use Occam's razor, but that doesn't always work in a screwed up.
No, Occam's razor is out the freaking window in the modern society. And by the way, speaking of the intel community, let's remember what our friend Chucky Schumer said. They have 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you.
Yeah, that was a threat.
That was a direct threat to Donald Trump. Yeah.
That was in about the same, wasn't that within the same time period when he threatened Kavanaugh as well?
Yep.
Yeah. I to be honest with you, he needs to freaking every day he wakes up, he should kiss the ground he walks on and thank God that the mafia isn't what it used to be in New York. But you guys figure that one out on your own.
Well, he needs to be kissing different ground. He needs to be kissing holy ground.
He doesn't walk near a church because his skin.
No, that ain't the holy ground I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it because I might get in trouble.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you did send me a sacrilegious meme earlier. So anyway, so here's some more excitement. Here's some more Zucker talking about Twitter versus how they did it. Pay particular attention to the very end. I know it's kind of quiet. I'll try to put the volume up just a little bit, but pay particular attention to when Joe Rogan, who by the way sounds like he's stoned, but well, he probably is.
Probably is.
And he asks him, I have to try that. And then he asks him a question at the very end. Pay particular attention to that. They kind of let it slide through, but it's probably the most important part of the entire 3 hours, in my humble opinion. But
can you just to interject? Can you imagine being Joe Rogan and offering Zuckerberg a fatty or something?
I don't know how you would even what terminology you would use for him. Don't forget the guy he's an avid spear chucker.
Yes.
And that's no joke. I wouldn't want to get into a survival situation because he's a professional spear chucker. I don't know how
well, it's from his favorite movie, Revenge of the Nerds. There, it looked a lot like that, to be honest.
Yeah, he looked like a 6-foot lizard throwing a stick with a point on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, here we go. Here he is.
So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have, if something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false. And for I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false. The distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
It got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely.
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful.
He knows exactly what percentage.
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said? I don't know, but it's meaningful.
Yeah. In other words, nobody saw it. They would let you share it and let you think that your followers or whatever were seeing it, but they wouldn't.
Right.
So here's kind of a quirky, maybe philosophical question. If you're one of the 2 billion people on Facebook, and the CEO gets approached by the FBI and says, "Hey, this particular story, we don't want you anywhere near this," and he says, "Well, yeah, no problem." But essentially, they're going to do what Twitter does, but they're going to do it in another way. They're going to do it in a more psychologically pleasing manner. So now everybody knows this. So now you feel like you have the information, and then you feel like you said, Paul, you're virtual. It's very virtual. You feel like now you can share that information. So you get your dopamine rush because you now shared a piece of information that you think you needed to share, not knowing at the time that it went
didn't
nowhere.
go anywhere. It went nowhere.
It went into a black hole. So now here's the question out of that. Now you know. Okay?
Yeah.
Now what do you do?
Same thing you did before, nothing. You just
Nothing.
post about it.
You're nothing. How many followers or how many Facebook users just stopped, just deleted their accounts, just got off Facebook because they found this out? Is what I want to know. And Facebook isn't 100% full of left-leaning DNC donors.
No, it's a lot of old farts use it just to keep in touch with family and stuff like that. I mean,
True.
young people don't use Facebook. They're like, a lot of them don't even use Twitter. They use Snapchat.
Yeah, it's been taken over
TikTok.
by the oldies.
Yeah.
It's true. Facebook is a lot of older people keeping in touch with family connections. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep. And this
so
information
it's not as relevant as it could be.
Well, one thing I'm guilty of right now, and I'm going to admit, which is something I wouldn't ordinarily do anytime. I have to admit, I don't know how prevalent this story is in the mainstream media. So for all I know, let's say, I don't know how many people use Facebook, but let's say a billion or a million, whatever the number is. How many of them just heard this story? Because I know they're not sharing it on Facebook. That's the irony of it.
Yeah, no, there's not many, and none of the mainstream corporate media are talking about it, except maybe Tucker.
Yeah, well, yeah, he'll go. He goes about as far as anybody.
And Gutfeld, he'll come out and say something after the election's over, that freaking weak-kneed pussy.
but he's got the number one. I gotta give him kudos. He's got the number one show. He took it from all the other asshats.
Yeah,
out there.
He's controlled opposition. They're freaking weak. Those people.
Yeah, but I thought, and I'm just to break this up a little bit. After listening to 2 clips, and I know I don't want to be too funny, and I don't want to be too serious, but just to break up those 2 clips, let me just play this. This is my impression of what I heard.
All right.
You're clearly gay. There's nothing really else to say about that. I think you all know that.
So I just that's the vibe I get from Zuckerberg.
Now that is homophobic slurs, and I will not stand for it.
I know. I have.
Will you sit for it?
I am what I am. But yeah, I don't know.
Have I mentioned that I'm all the ists and obes and phobes?
Phobes. But I'm not really sure that's a high bar either. You know?
I know, but you gotta draw the line somewhere.
I mean, dare I say that's a low-hanging fruit? You know?
Yeah, I tell you what, though, you could be disappeared for embracing some of these unsanctioned viewpoints.
Well, it's the whole thing is a myth to me sometimes, and it's so aggravating that you and like like I said, I'm not a Joe Rogan guy, but I heard the story. I just hope other people hear it. It was just it's kind of that important. The first time I heard it, I was like kind of furious because it well it was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy actually said it out loud, and so now I'm looking around and I'm waiting. Okay.
Yeah,
Now
I
what's
mean,
gonna
it
happen?
was trending. It was trending in my circles, but you can imagine the people I hang around with are uh, not the mainstream.
Yeah.
By the way,
the FBI put out a statement over this whole
yeah,
thing. Did you hear? Did you see the statement?
I did. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's word salad. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so it's. Oh God.
Well, there.
We regularly blah blah blah.
Yeah, just shake your head. It's like it's unbelievable.
Well, and I'll go one step further and tell you that I think that they would actually come out, which is essentially what they did. But if you're in the know, then you know. And there's that other saying: some people don't know what they don't know. Well, this is kind of a sum up for that. The FBI basically what they did was they came out and said, we've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
We've been approaching media's corporations, APs, independent reporters for years, telling
they're
them
there. They're there to help. They just want to,
the checks
they
in the
want to
mail.
help. They want to keep everything, on the up and up.
Yeah. By the way, did you know there was another whistleblower directly from Twitter security that stepped down and basically confirmed all the stuff that we knew? And what's his name? Alex Berenson or Alex Bruce,
Right.
one of those guys, has emails showing that the White House was in communication with Twitter, encouraging them to ban this guy. So
Yeah.
Right.
we're going to get to the semi-fascist thing, but the definition of fascism is the unholy alliance of government and corporate America, which is absolutely what we have with the Democratic Party and the establishment.
I'll actually read a historical definition on our next segment. But actually, this would be a good time to just break for a second and say, anybody listening out there, we also have a YouTube channel where we're pushing out the audio. Obviously, we're not going to do the video thing right now, and it's just called Shinebox. It's a little rough to find because there's a lot of stuff that comes up when you do a search. But if you'd search us out, we appreciate it. Then there's some links in there. We also have a
smash that like button.
Yes, smash the like button, the bell button, all that crap.
Share it with your friends. Make us famous.
And I guess we're going to look into Rumble as well, because I'm not a big fan of the YouTube platform. But
it'd be a good idea to get on Rumble, BitChute, some of these alternatives.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we're not going to say alternative next year when it comes to something like a Rumble. That would be awesome. But we're at ShineboxConnect at Gmail. That's ShineboxConnect, all one word, at Gmail if you want to contact us. And I just want to get that information out there so you guys can...
Yeah, we're always looking for new show ideas. If the people want something looked into, we'll look into it.
Absolutely. And sponsorships would come in handy. We're
yes.
not... we're definitely... I got to put this in tongue-in-cheek. We're definitely not too big for sponsorship.
That's right. Particularly arms and ammunition manufacturers welcome.
Well, we want to promote something that lies, as they say, with our beliefs and principles.
That's
right. Like a nice bourbon or scotch.
Yeah, that'd be good too.
Yes, and the bourbon, rye, correct, Joe?
I like rye.
You like rye, yeah. So, just saying. Not that we'd want to personally consume it, but we could taste it and do reviews.
Yeah, I'm a troglodyte, so I don't know all this bourbon and whiskey
Well,
stuff.
by golly, I have an educated palate.